Alright, so let's look at the onion bed. So you should be able to see quite a difference between the two onion beds. So you see a shorter bed to the right, and then quite substantial growth on the left. There is a specific reason for that. It's not that that bed is getting more water or more sun. They are getting equal amounts. And that ultimately comes down to what you used into the ground to produce what you see here. So the onions to the left came from bulbs or sets that you can buy, while these ones came from seeds. You can also have transplants that come in kind of the bundles, essentially just the string, the little bulb and the green stuff already. But these are the two that I primarily go after, and I'm still trying to figure out which one works the best for us. So when you're working with bulbs that you can directly buy from Home Depot or Walmart, that is what these are going to grow faster, and that's simply because this is already into a second season of growing. So initially those bulbs were grown from seed, and then they were grown to a point where then they were pulled and the tops were cut off and put into dormancy through the winter, and then they're sold, and then you buy them up at the store as those bulbs, which then you restart their growing season back into that. So they're ahead of the game in where they are when you buy them. When you obviously buy them from seeds, they're going to be much farther along than that. So you can see you're going to get larger growth earlier on the bulbs as compared to the seeds, simply because it's a couple months behind in the growing pathway between the two. When you grow from seeds, yes, you are farther behind. Yes, it takes a little bit longer because you have to sow the seeds quite early on. These things take a little bit longer, which is why everybody prefers the bulbs. They're much easier and they're much farther along. But the negative about using the bulbs is that you're very limited in the types of varieties that you can grow. So if you go into Walmart and buy the bulbs, you will probably see maybe 4, 5, or 6 varieties at best. While from seeds, you can buy hundreds of different varieties of them. So it ultimately depends on if those onions work for you. Like them, obviously it works. But I'm still trying to figure out what varieties work for us and what tastes the best. So hence the reason I have many different varieties going on. And in terms of which one do you want to use, sometimes it's going to depend on your location. So onions come in 3 different varieties, being a short day, long day, or an intermediate or day neutral, depending on what verbiage people use. So the short day tends to be for the southern region, so that's 10 to 12 hours of sunlight, while the long day onions are for the northern region, and the intermediate is somewhat in between and can be used for the north or south. So the long day, you get longer sun associated with them, which is why they are grown in the north during the summertime. And it's about, I'd say about 3 to 4 months between sowing and harvesting these things. So depending on where you are in location is going to determine what types of onions you can grow, or at least what onions prefer to grow in. So it's something to be mindful of when you start going with that. So we'll see how it goes here. This year I think we have 6 different varieties. I'm not really picky. I'm not trying to grow the largest onions. It doesn't necessarily mean these ones will be larger versus these. It depends on the type of onion you're actually growing, as well as your soil conditions and everything. So when we do harvest them, we'll do another video on that, so you can see the size difference between the two and the different varieties. So but nonetheless, easy to grow. Yes, they're farther along, but you see these ones are just not far behind, even though they are starting to grow from seed this year. So they'll catch up, especially when the sun and the soil temperature increases. And then hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll begin to harvest them.